First of all, a fantastic performance, but a difficult result to take, I imagine.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Oh, quite frustrated, to be honest. That was definitely a game I felt we should have won. We got ourselves into a good position in the second half, and got a lead in the game. But we just made too many errors. We didn't capitalise on our possession enough. Thought we got turned over too cheaply off first phase a few times, which punished us, particularly from scrum. And then when we got ourselves into some really good attacking positions 5 metres out, we didn't capitalise. We lost a couple of line-outs, and then we think we get turned over and one or knocked the ball on in one. So, at this level, you've got to be clinical and to be talking about, getting into that area and making sure we come away with points, and we didn't do that enough today. So that was probably the frustrating thing for me.
Do you feel like the players will learn more from a game like that when they showed a much better version of the players they actually are compared to a game against England?
Yeah, I mean, we knew obviously after that score last week with South Africa, Australia were there probably for a beating. They're a good side, they've got some good players, but we knew even, going into the game we were really confident we'd go in there and put a performance in, and I think, yeah, it's good getting a performance, but in all honesty, it's a game we should have won. We got ourselves into a good position, and for me, we should have won it. We lost a few players throughout the game, which, losing Ruben and Dan Halkin and then Obo coming off with a calf, it puts you under a bit of pressure. You lose a lot of size in your pack when you lose 3 guys like that. But yeah, ultimately though, I felt we did enough to create chances. We just weren't clinical enough today. On
the injuries, is there anyone who would miss the next game?
Probably Dan Halkin will be, he went off a HIA, so again he's unlikely to play the next game. But all other ones, again, we'll just wait and see how they go over the next couple of days.
I imagine the hotel's going to start to look like a war infirmary when you get back, but I think it's a sign that everyone put absolutely everything into it. You must have been very proud of.
Yeah, listen, I'm absolutely. I'm not. The boys are putting such an effort, and I don't think until you're here and you're out in it, you can actually appreciate how tough it is to go out there and play in that. When you maybe run about at training, you start to realise, this is even as coaches, this is, shows you how tough it is. But I'm not faulting the guys' effort at all. For us, we just got to be better than we were today. I felt we were good enough in parts of that game to win today, but we just weren't clinical enough.
Honing in on players in particular, on start with Jed Finley, came in for Jack Brown, who's obviously such a big part of the squad. How do you think he went?
Yeah, I thought Jed did a solid game. He was good under the high ball. I thought some of his kicks, nice kicking game. His decision making is good. I think what we like about Jed, he doesn't make a lot of errors in his game. So, I thought that was his first real game for us, and I thought he did a really good solid game, to be fair.
Freddy Douglas, from even before minute 1, looked like he was raring to go.
Yeah.
Must have been very important to have. I think he was joint top of the tackle list. It must have been so good to have him back for this game.
Yeah, I think he gives everybody around him a lift, doesn't he? He's a sort of, Fred doesn't say a lot, but he's the sort of guy that leads by example in what he does. I think people will follow him off the end of a cliff. He's such a well-respected player in the group. He's great for us as coaches because you're going to get everything out of him, and no others will follow him. So he's a great guy to have in this group, and I think, as I said earlier, he's a guy with real potential to go all the way in Scotland.
Sorry, just last couple.
Okay, yeah, sorry. South Africa coming up. Off the back of that, what are the little 1%ers that you're hoping to see in the next few days of training?
Yeah, I think for me, against South Africa in particular, you've got to be more clinical. I think the biggest thing against them is turnovers. They come alive from transition, from turnovers and knock-ons or counter-attack. That is a big part of their game. So we've got to make sure we protect the ball a bit more, don't give cheap turnovers, and make ourselves tough to beat. Even some of the tries today, I just felt we just gave away a couple of soft tries. So again, big things to work on.
And finally, how are you feeling about that next South African game off the back of Australia?
Yeah, listen, it's going to be new. It's going to be tough right away. South Africa are a fantastic side. They showed that in the first game, 70 odd points. So it's going to be a real challenge for us. But I've said to the boys before, you come to Junior World Championship, you've got to embrace the challenge. You're playing the best teams in the world. And that's ultimately what we want to test ourselves against. It's tough, and it's it is a challenge, but that's where we want to be. We don't want to be anywhere else. We want to be here, and we need to really focus on how we learn from it, how we improve, how we get better, and how we develop it both individually as players and as a group.